A jury in Harris County found 30-year-old Rhonda Osmond guilty of theft for raising more than $42,000 on GoFundMe after claiming a man had thrown a brick at her head outside of a West Houston bar where she refused to give him her phone number. It was all a lie. Gentlemen, it's over. Time for Rhonda Osmond to drink her cup of coffee. Let's get it.
We begin with some late breaking news. Fox 26's Sherman DeSalle joining us live from the newsroom now with what's going on here. Sherman.
Yeah, so there's a few top stories that we're looking at. GoFundMe schemers found guilty tonight. Car crashes into a vet clinic in Montgomery County and fire scorches land in Galveston Island. That's some of the top stories tonight. Let's start with the GoFundMe scheme story. Remember Roda Osmond? We talked about her a few times.
How could we forget?
For the last couple of years, in 2023, she was known as the Brick Lady online. She made claims that a man threw a brick at her head outside of a bar in West Houston because she didn't give him her phone number. Well, she went on to collect $42,000 through a GoFundMe campaign she started after that. Well, a Harris County jury found her guilty of theft. She has to spend 90 days in jail, 10 years probation. She has to pay restitution, 10 years of no social media, which is big for her brand. Right. So let's go to the second story. In Montgomery County, a crazy car.
All right, there you guys go. As always, we're going to check out a few of these comments, see what the people have to say. But you know what? No, I think I have to do this first. I think this is the first video I have to play. This is not, don't worry, you're not going to hear her go on about her lies. What I think needs to be established right now is how emotionally charged this situation was. You guys remember the accusations, the broad painting of a brush for every man who didn't believe in this, or every man, period, and how much they didn't protect the women in their lives. And it's crazy to think that particularly black women at that time were so angry over a lie. Over a lie. This isn't a video of the liar herself. This is somebody who was reacting to her video and her lies and was casting blame on men, but especially black men in particular. Let's check it out.
Literally, a man asked me for my number. I said no, and he picked up a brick in front of so many men and was like, "What you gonna do?" And I told all these men, like, "Yo, why this man got a brick on my face?" And he's holding a brick, and all these is watching, and nobody does nothing.
The reason why we say all men is for our own safety and our own protection. We don't know which one of you quote unquote nice guys isn't above picking up a brick and hitting a woman because she wouldn't give you her number. We don't know which one of you quote unquote nice guys isn't going to like stand around and watch this man assault this woman, casually get in his car and drive off, not try to impede him, nothing. Just watch this man assault this woman like you're watching a TV show, like some paid actors who are acting. You watched it in real time and watch this man drive off. We don't know which one of you will do that.
This was one of the many chicks who just straight up took off with the story, started rounding up her audience to push a lie, to push a big fat lie.
So we have to say all men because we don't know which one of you quote unquote nice guys is actually nice. This poor woman is now traumatized for what she experienced.
No, she's now going to jail.
And there's so many men that could have prevented it, that could have stepped up. He wasn't going to fight all of y'all. He wasn't going to do that. Like
this right here's the modern feminist for you guys. You see how quick they are to open their mouths about how, listen, you guys can all gang up together and go fight him. What'd you do? What'd you do? In this fictitious story, were you the aggressor? Because we found out now that she was the aggressor, like other times where she went up to slap men, just slapped him for a viral moment, and there was no brick. These were all lies. They were all lies. But the quickness these chicks just open their mouths to expect men to defend women who aren't their wives, right? Who aren't their women, their girlfriends. And feminist chicks, the same as these, who go around and say women can do what they want. They don't owe you a smile. They don't owe you nothing, but you owe them protection. Come on, man. Get out of here. Let's pause for a moment to thank the sponsor of this channel, fathershaverights.com. Did you know that prenuptial agreements are becoming significantly more common? Yes, especially among young generations like millennials and Gen Z. In fact, one of the expert attorneys featured in our prenup guide says he drafts 3 to 4 prenups every single week, and some firms draft more than 10. The truth is, far more people have prenups than you may realize. Want to know how to get a prenup before it's too late? Click the link pinned to the top of the comment section and take the first step in securing your future marriage and join the hundreds of men protecting their marriages the right way.
Around and watch this happen. Like, do you not have mothers or sisters or a friend or a cousin? Like, for you to never understand what it's like to be a woman on her own in this world. And then people try to blame her. Should have just gave him your number.
It's funny.
That's why you
now.
have to always give men your number. Why do we have to do that? These strong alpha males with these super fragile egos, why do we have to pretend that we like you to survive? You'll never hold yourself accountable. You're so quick to talk about what a woman should do and how she should have done this differently or that differently. Why can't he, the man with the brick, be better?
Isn't it funny watching it now? All right, we're back here in the comment section. This is from the announcement, of course, that she'll be facing jail time. And what I hear is that if she breaks that no social media for 10 years, 10 years for a woman who's profited off using social media to scam people, to co-opt women empowerment movements, understanding that they will believe anything that they see, that will be devastating for her. Let's check out a few of these comments. Okay, top comment here says, I can't believe that she was held accountable. I thought that she would get a slap on the wrist. Shout out to the queen of accountability, celebrity for breaking the story, for sure. Somebody else who says, bravo. Shout out to the queen of accountability for exposing the brick lady Roda. Justice on these scammers and fraudsters. Here we have a woman who says she scammed GoFundMe twice. She deserves that sentence. Somebody else who says justice. Laughing emojis. I couldn't give less of a shit about this hustler. I can guarantee probation will be violated. I got something to show you guys. Keep watching. So here's a post from the Spiritual Word that says, remember the brick lady Roda Osman found guilty of stealing over $52K through GoFundMe after claiming a man hit her with a brick outside of a Houston bar. A jury in Harris County found the 35-year-old Roda Osman guilty of theft for raising more than $42,000 on GoFundMe after she claimed a man had thrown a brick at her head outside of a West Houston bar where she refused to give him her phone number. The viral story, which made her known online as the brick lady, turned into a criminal case after investigators found inconsistencies in her account. During the trial, prosecutors presented bank records showing that all the donated money had been spent on personal travel to Jamaica and New York, dining, spas, and ride shares. She splurged all that shit. Goes on to read, surveillance video from the incident did not match her version of events, showing she slapped the man in the face before he struck her back while holding what appeared to be a plastic bottle, not a brick. Goes on to say, after deliberating for about 2.5 hours, the jury returned a guilty verdict. The judge sentenced Osman to 10 years of probation, including 90 days in jail, inpatient substance abuse treatment, full restitution of $42,000, and a condition barring her from using social media during her probation. Whoa. Her appeal bond was set at $50,000. Just beautiful. Just beautiful. 100%. She 100% needs to pay back the people who donated to her. People gave. People felt very, very bad and gave to this lying woman. Somebody else, she says, I love when people get in trouble for schemes that have crossed my mind. What? I can let that idea go in peace. So this lady's over here saying she thought of doing this. This is just another example, man, that a lot of these chicks you see posting up like they're high maintenance chicks who don't afford nothing less than a man who can pay all their bills, are open to scams, scheming because they're struggling. I mean, she's talking about the scheme has crossed her mind. That type of a scheme only crosses your mind when you're two things. Number one, struggling so badly that you're willing to do something that compromises your values, or you've just always been that way. Somebody else who says, now let's hold the government and rich people who do this daily accountable. What are you talking about? Somebody else here added, no social media for 10 years. Some of us need to do this off probation. Another person who says, Alexa, play Gucci Man Bricks. Another person here says, shaking my head. Here's another person who says, I love that she was held accountable. Now let's hold those white women accountable too for making false accusations, jeopardizing people's lives. I think this is something that's definitely going to happen more and more and more. More and more and more false accusations towards men. Doesn't matter if it's sexual accusations, accusations of a man getting violent that never happened. more and more women will get accountable, because that tendency to just believe all women, regardless of evidence, is now seen to be fruitless and actually backwards. Somebody else who says, them ladies were fighting us in the comments over this. Now look, another person who says, stuff like this makes it hard for women that are actually being assaulted. Here's another person who says, I'm interested to know the real reason her face was swollen. It sounds like she went up to the man, slapped him, and he slapped her back.
So y'all remember Brick Lady, right? Y'all remember the girl that got on live and got on the internet and say that she had been hit with a brick in her face, and all women came to rally for her, including me. Yes, I can admit I rallied for her. Well, baby, she has been found guilty. Guilty as hell. Now, she stated she was attacked, but when the video came out, she was actually the aggressor. So Rhoda Osmond has been sentenced to 90 days. And that $42K that she raised, baby, that has to go back to everybody. She's got to pay.
Where's the I'm wrong? Where's the we shouldn't do this? And maybe we shouldn't believe all women. We should wait for more evidence. Here's the reality. The admission for being wrong will never happen. The majority of these chicks could say, hey, I was wrong. This is something we probably need to work on. Then they would have husbands, right? They would have men who be able to cooperate with them.
Restitution. Now, on top of that, she gets 10 years probation. And then if she up on her probation, baby, she's going to spend 10 years in jail. And I know she can't afford that shit because she does have a child. Y'all need to stop coming up on this internet making lies and accusations. Because these days, everybody has a phone. And what's going to end up happening is people are going to dig. And y'all know TikTok. TikTok are investigators. They're better than the FBI. And you know what? I think this may be good for her. And some people don't need to be on social media at all. Girl, I got to brush your teeth. Your breath stank.
All right, so this is interesting. Here's a video by the Brick Lady herself. This video was released this month on the 7th. If I go on this page, which I assume is her TikTok, but I don't know yet. I think it is. Could be like a fan page or something. She could be in jail right now and somebody's running her account. But if you check out the date on her recent video right here, it was released on the 20th of October this month. Maybe since she's got that guilty sentence, she's staying off social media, or she just may not care. Because what I predict will happen is a lot of what we see in the family court videos over, like you have a mother who once in a while is actually on child support and she just says flat out she's not going to pay. I saw a recent comment of a woman who says she's a caseworker in a lot of these custody disputes. And when women are expected to pay child support, they're just like really indignant. They're just like, no, I'm not paying it, because they believe as a woman, you can't be a deadbeat mom. What am I getting to here? I think we're going to see the same thing here. This doesn't strike me as the type of person who learns unless if everything around them is set up to learn that lesson. I want you guys to think, what type of a chick would repeatedly go around slapping grown men? Something's not right there. And they said there's some substance abuse going on there with her. Something's not right.
What is wrong with being called ghetto? As far as I'm concerned, ghetto is just black culture that hasn't been colonized, co-opted, or copyrighted by whiteness yet.
So this video came out on the 7th of this month.
The second that white folks start doing it, just like that, it's art. It's avant-garde. We got white tee girls wearing acrylic nails, bonnets to Whole Foods, and bamboo earrings on Vogue covers. And then suddenly, it's street style.
She's over here talking about what's wrong with being ghetto, and now she's going to jail.
Street style? Maybe it's because you never let us in the building. The word ghetto has never meant unsophisticated or crude. It just means black and unapproved. It's been a tool to shame us into shrinking, to tell us to tone it down, assimilate, and make it more palatable. Imagine the bland leading the bland telling us about palate. Let's get real. The idea of ghetto was invented to make black people feel less than. So whiteness can pat itself on the back and say, look, we're civilizing them. We're helping.
Yeah, it seems like she's stuck in this era, because there was a time when these type of videos were really popular, where you get online and just talk about race issues. I know your talking points are centered around white supremacy. You guys know what I mean. But I don't doubt that she will violate that no social media restriction. The last video I'm going to show is a video that was actually released a year ago with the title Brick Lady Investigation. Roda Osmond posts bond after turning herself in. We all reacted like this might have been a real thing. And I think we all got scammed.
And thank you for staying up late with us. We have a great program for you tonight. Don't go anywhere. And we want to thank all of our guests for joining us as well. We begin tonight with a story that had a lot of people talking. The saga, the now infamous Brick Lady. Her claims of being assaulted have turned into quite the scandal. Her real name is Roda Osman. You're looking at her there. You may remember that plea on social media. You may remember when we covered her story last September. Bridget, you and I were duped too. Yep. We fell for it like a damn fool. She claimed a man threw a brick at her because she wouldn't give him her phone number. But investigators say the attack never happened. Osman has been charged with theft by deception. According to court documents, she collected more than $40,000 through GoFundMe. Osman is out on bond and is scheduled to go to court on March 5th. Let's keep in mind these charges are just allegations at this point, and she has not been convicted.
Well, she's been convicted now, and they're no longer allegations.
However, we ask if the allegations are proven and are true in court, how could that impact victims of assault who come forward in the future? Joining us to talk about it, publicist Brigitte Holden, attorney Ricky Hernandez, and Factor digital producer Aji Borderin. Glad to have you here on the Factor. Since Aji, you've been monitoring this for us on social media, and you brought to our attention she was in Jamaica.
Yeah, she was.
Tell us about that video she posted. How long ago did she post that video?
I want to say that was maybe about 3 to 5 days ago. So it was actually...
She was twerking in Jamaica. Not only was she in Jamaica, she was twerking on the gram in Jamaica after lying, posting actual videos of her shaking her cheeks, which she does all the time, with other people's money.
It's interesting because when she was supposed to turn in her... She actually agreed to turn her stuff into the police a few days ago, and she didn't show up. And that same day when she didn't show up, she posted a video talking about how much she had been through in the past year and how she was reclaiming herself and trying to pour back into herself. And she was in Jamaica, and people were saying on social media, like, are you a fugitive? Like, because you're supposed to be at the police station. So it's just kind of, it's really fishy when you have somebody who's raising, $40,000+ you mentioned. 42,000 had a $10,000 bond. And they're in Jamaica right before when they're supposed to be at the police station. So, I mean, there's a lot of stuff around this case that just didn't feel right from the jump, and even more so as we came into the last few days.
And Ricky Hernandez, when you look at this from a criminal perspective, what is she looking at here? What is HPD charged her with? What does that mean?
Right. So she's been charged with theft by deception. So theft is a crime that, based on basically the amount of money stolen, that's going to affect the degree of the crime, right? So with her crime in particular, she's stolen, as Brigitte said, $42,000. When you steal anywhere between $30,000 and $150,000 in the state of Texas, that's a third-degree felony. So she's looking at anywhere from a minimum of 2 years to a maximum of 10 years in the state penitentiary for this crime.
Now, if she were able...
Wow, she actually got let off easy. And I thought that. Let's check out her... I'm interested to see her social media account.
Okay, dreams do come true. Lizzie Jeff, the medicine woman herself, is going to be here on Friday, and I will be one of her opening acts. Oh my God!
Okay, this was 7 days ago. I'm telling you, man, this chick does not care.
Let's talk about that 50.
This is 5 days ago. Now, you could say somebody may be posting her content for her, then they'll need to adjust those terms for social media. But here's the problem. We don't have somebody here who is making an honest living. This is somebody who is scamming using their online presence, literally scamming using their online presence.
Have y'all heard about Pretty Punishment? The new hot girl.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything within the past 5 days. Now, if we see posts drop after the announcement of her being guilty, then she's pretty much putting the middle finger up to the law and telling them there's nothing they can do to her. But there's definitely something wrong with this chick. This is her here. She has all these like twerking videos on her page. The video that I saw when she was in Jamaica, she was obviously splurging all that money. Let's keep listening.
To get out of it, what would she have to prove? What would her attorney have to come into court and show that she did not commit fraud or deception here?
Right. So basically, the way it's written now is in the complaint. It has not been indicted yet, but is that she unlawfully appropriated basically the property of GoFundMe. So she would have to prove that she basically received the property, or in this case, it's cash money. She would have to prove that she received those profits lawfully. But I mean, as it seems now, those profits were, obtained by deception. And if that's the case, then she's probably guilty.
And really quick, explain for the viewer when you say she's been charged, but she hasn't been indicted. Make the difference there. What does that mean to the average layman out there?
Right. So an indictment is really a term specific to felonies. I know it's thrown out a lot, but basically the prosecutors for the Harris County will have to prove the facts to what's called the grand jury, which is a group of 12 people from the cross-section of the community. And they will see the facts from the prosecutor's point of view, and they will decide whether or not there's enough charges or enough evidence there to move forward. And if that's the case, then they will move on with the court proceedings.
And right now, what we're looking at is investigative work by HPD or the law enforcement agency, and the DA saying, go ahead and charge her.
Correct. There's definitely enough.
Before the grand jury.
Yes, Isaiah, that's correct.
All right. Brigitte, how will this impact other victims in the future if we see people on social media saying, someone attacked me, they hit me with a brick, and it's because I didn't do this or that?
They won't believe him.
You know, the court of public perception is always, stronger than the actual court of law. And so now when someone comes forward, whether black, white, or whatever female, people are not going to jump so soon to believe them. So it's kind of a dangerous thing. It's like, do we come to their aid, or are they crying wolf? That story we were told as a little kid, and so now it puts people on guard, if you will. Do I trust this person? Are they telling the truth, or is it another brick lady?
Especially when people are quick to make a think piece or record a video or post about that particular thing, and they also aren't willing to say, hey, I was wrong about that. I've done that. I've said, hey, I was wrong about that thing. I've changed my mind about certain things. And I thought to myself, listen, I should have waited a little bit, or maybe placed too much judgment on a particular situation and was too quick to judge a certain situation. But I really should have given it a bit more time. And the reason why I want to say that is because I believe if we lived in a world where people could come back and say, hey, you know what? I was wrong about that. And they could say that without feeling like they're losing credibility from their audience, because obviously their audience knows that they're not perfect. No one gets things perfectly. At least I'm not, right? But yeah, this definitely is going to affect people and how they react, and real victims will be affected.
So you never know.
And of course, we covered this in the beginning.
We did.
Very convincing.
Yep, very convincing.
Crying and said no other men would come to her aid. They would only take video.
Yep, and men were, dragged because it made it seem like men were trash because they didn't come to her aid. And a lot of times women, I'm trying to use my words carefully, but because we're damsels in distress, if you will, men are now going to be very cautious about coming to a person's aid, a female, if they think that she's lying. So now it's not trusted.
And Aji, we talked about it in our editorial meeting in the past. Was there any other case like this, similar to this, where there was a GoFundMe or some type of allegation that you can recall?
Well, not specifically like in that same way where we're talking about being attacked. But I mean, I think right now on social media, you see a lot of people who are using their life situations, whether it be being homeless on the street or going through whatever struggles, to try to raise money. And sometimes those claims are not always fully true. So it makes people kind of think harder about whether or not they want to reach out and help people. But there's still just as many people who are questioning it. There's a vast number of people who are supporting it. I mean, even now, as Roda is going through all these charges, these charges, there are still people saying, well, why are y'all saying that she's wrong? Like, she still was attacked, or, she still went through these things. So I think when you have so many people who have access to your story at one time, you can find the people who will support you no matter what.
And Ricky, really quick before we close.
That's a good point.
Is HPD at this point alleging nothing happened, or is this deception and misleading?
So from that perspective, basically it's alleged that she obtained the funds based on her social media posts through deception, which is basically defined in the penal code as like a statement of fact that would affect the judgment of a person, right? So when you're saying, claims such as I was hit in the face with a brick, I need money for my hospital bills, when I think video evidence shows, as we were just saying, that wasn't the case. I think that's a perfect, example of deception.
All right. We want to thank you all for joining us here on The Factor Uncensored.
Top commenter says, thank you for owning up that you were duped too. A lot of people are still in denial about this. Goes on to say she really took advantage of people's bias towards black men and looked to make money for herself. Somebody else who says, imagine being forever known as the brick lady. Here's somebody else who says that woman's hair looks ridiculous. Somebody else who says, dang, that lady got 2 whole dogs on her head. Somebody else, she says, this was the most obvious scam from the jump. How do you get hit in the face with the brick and no cuts on her skin at all? Somebody else who says, women in large know that tears are manipulative. Here's another person who says, lady with the big hair looks really silly. And they're really focused on that here. Somebody else who says, you're forgetting to mention that this is her second time doing this. Oh, that's what I was saying earlier. Hey guys, as always, I appreciate you for checking out yet another episode of the Coffee Pod. To my currently engaged or soon to be married men, if you need a prenup and would like a guide that shows you how to get a solid and legally binding prenuptial agreement, hit the link into the top of the comment section and access your guide at fathershaverights.com today.